Let's dive into it, into the major and minor chords here. And this will be based off of our previous lessons, talking about the major scale formula a little bit, and then also talking about the numbers, thinking in numbers. So here we are here. We've got our keyboard here that we can look at a little bit, as well as our little pad here. So again, let's go ahead and just write out the most simple major scale, which is going to be the C major scale. So just the alphabet, basically C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and then we're back up to C. You should be good here. All right. Got one. Jervon says he's here. Good to see you, Jervon. All right. Let's see. If we attached a number to each one of these guys, like this, then we're going to call 8 and 1 right there. Then we have kind of a number here. So every major, or every chord basically is built off of numbers. Okay. What we call major chords, minor chords, augmented, diminished, minor 7 flat 5, sixth chord, 6/9 chords. All those are basically talking about numbers. They're using numbers to define the chord. So what that means is there are some implied numbers right off the bat, and those implied numbers are 1, 3, and 5. So every basic chord, so our basic chords are major, minor, augmented, I'm going to just write AUG, and then diminished. And we will cover augmented and diminished another day. So basically right now, these are the two that we're looking at right now, major and minor. They all use the 1, the 3, and the 5 as implied in their names. So if you've ever seen a chord that has another number or something attached to it, that's because it's playing the 1, the 3, and the 5 also of the scale, but then it's adding something else to that. So what this looks like here is a C chord, or a C chord going off of the C scale is going to use the 1, the 3, and the 5. Okay, so we have basically a C chord equals C, E, and G. Oh, pretty simple, right? Not too hard right there. So let's do that again, and we'll just pick another scale here. Let's just do D, D, E, okay. And if we attach our numbers to it, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 enter 1. And so a D chord, just a D major chord. So a D major is like basically writing out major is redundant. And so they basically said, you don't have to write out major every time you have something, just write out the letter name. And that's why usually, this is the same thing. Just seeing the letter name and seeing D major is the same thing. So a D chord is a D major chord is going to be the 1, 3, and the 5, which are D, F sharp, and A. Okay. Very simple right there. You guys got it. And by the way, I'm going to show another way to do this here that does not involve the major scale formula. So if you missed the first lesson and you don't know your scales very well, there's another easy way to do this as well. So let's do an example of a minor chord. Okay. So let's go back to, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to just like write out a couple of scales here. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. So that's like the C scale. D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D. That'd be the D scale. Let's do a flat. Let's do B flat. Sorry. F, G, A, and B flat. All right. So all of these, here's our numbers again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, enter 1. All right. We're good there. You got that. So the minor scale, the minor chords are basically the exact same thing as a major chord, except with the minor chords, they have a flat third. Okay. So, basically we take the third note and we go a half step below. So what this is going to look like practically. So if we have our, like, say, for example, the C major chord, so our 1, 3, 5 is going to be, would be C, E, and F. So this is C. Okay. I'm sorry, what am I saying? Not 1 with the F. C, E, and G. So here's our major chord, C. Okay. And then if it's a flat, the minor is going to be, and the minor, we just put a little M like that. Sometimes you might see like a minus sign to distinguish minor. But usually it's the M. I guess technically you could see this, you could see C. Somebody could write that out if they really wanted to be longhand. But the C minor is going to be C and then flat the third. So we're going to go, here's our E. We're going to go down a half step to E flat. Okay. And then G, just like that. So basically the only difference is right here. Okay. Is in the flat, is the third is flat. Okay. So the third is what the main thing with the difference between major and minor is. That's it right there. The third. Okay. Let's give a couple more examples here just to be good here with these. Let me scoot that back a little bit. All right. So, let's go to let's do it in D. So like, let's say our D chord and then our D minor chord. D minor versus D. So 1, 3, 5, we're going to have D. It's going to be the same in both of them. There's our 1. Our 3 is going to be F sharp. And then here, it's going to be the flat third. So if we take the F sharp, we go down a half step. So if we take F sharp, go down a half step, we're on F. Okay. So then this would be D, F. And then our 5 is G. A. Okay. So far, so good. Pretty simple, pretty easy. Try to get this keyboard where I can do both things here. There we go. Might have to zoom this out just a little bit here. That might be a little bit better. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so one more. Let's do a B flat, and then we'll go from there. Not wanting to erase. All right, okay, B flat and B flat minor. Our 1, 3, 5. We got the B flat. 3 is going to be D. 5 is going to be F. Okay. On the minor, we've got B flat. The 3 is going to be D flat. Okay. And then again, F the same. Again, the only difference is in this whole thing is this guy right here is the middle one determines, the third determines what it is. And you might want to know why, and we'll discuss this in a future lesson, but why why it's even called major or minor has to do with that third in itself, because the distance between, I'll do it on the C, in the key of C, the distance between the 1 and the 3, this is called a major third, and that's a minor third. It's very simple. We'll get to that in another lesson, diving into the different intervals is what that's called. But hopefully that makes sense. If anybody's having any issues with that, let me know. And then I'm going to say one more thing, and then we're going to dive into the second way to do this, which is actually a lot easier than what I just taught. But I think it's important to know the way I just taught it first. Okay. Here's the thing about it. You have to, again, the letter name has to be the correct letter name that's represented. So let's see, going into, let's just say the key of a C major. So C is going to be C, E, and G, and then C minor is going to be C, E flat, and G. It is not going to be C, D sharp. Okay. Now this may sound like, well, what does it even matter? I mean, in practicality, like as you're playing music, it doesn't matter. But as you're thinking music theory, it does matter on how everything works together. So you have to have a letter name in between these. So basically, this will always skip a letter name. Okay, it'll always skip a letter name. Doesn't matter, you know, C minor, C major, augmented, diminished, it'll always skip a letter name. So basically, you know, there's an invisible D here, there's an invisible F here. Okay. And you're not going to have two letter names right next to each other. And each week I've kind of harped on that a little bit, and it kind of is important. Especially as you get further into music theory, that is an important concept to appreciate, is that there has to be a letter name in between. All right, now let's get to the good stuff. This is where, honestly, if you came for this, this is where you need to stay, for this, because this will explain things super, super easy. All right, let's see. Okay, we will eventually talk about in fuller detail major thirds, minor seconds, major seconds, perfect fourths, perfect fifths. These are intervals. These are jumps. Okay. Today we're only talking about the third. Okay. We're only talking about the third interval. And so basically I'm going to give you an overview really quick, but basically in any scale that you have, you have different intervals. So if you start on 1 and you jumped up here, this is actually called a major second. If you have 1 and you jump up to the third, this is called a major third. Okay. So if it's in the key, if it's in whatever key you're in, so again, we'll go back to our good old trusty key of C. This is just, everything lines up easy. It's real easy to what am I doing? It would be easy if I wrote the right letters down. All right. So here, the distance between, imagine like you're at a, you're like a long jumper or something, and you're doing that thing where you start and you jump and you land, and then they see the distance in between it. That's what you're doing. So like, it's like, we're starting right here. You're the dude, and you're jumping, and where you land here this is the interval. Okay. So the distance from C, the 1 to the 3, is a major third. Okay. And we are not going to write it out like this. We are going to write it out in a couple different ways. The easiest way to do it is, one way to do it is you could write out just a big M, and then like that. You could write a big M and then like a 3. Then basically, though, the easiest way to do it, then what we're going to do is we're just going to write a big M. So a big M, okay, I'm going to write it over here. A big M equals major. Hopefully that makes sense. Now, if you were to jump from C to the flat third, okay, so we would jump to C to E flat. This interval here is called a minor third. Okay, and we are going to write this one with a little m, like a lowercase m is going to distinguish minor. Okay, so big M, major, small m, minor. Hopefully that makes sense. Now here's where this gets great. Let me show you on the keyboard how this is. A major third, if you're like, oh, I don't want to think about jumps and minor thirds and steps like that, this is so easy. a major third, so a big M, is equal to 2 whole steps. Okay, so if we have C, we go up a whole step and a whole step. That's our major third. Okay, there's the jump. So a whole step and a whole step. Very, very good. So a minor third is equal to 1 whole step and 1 half step. So basically, a major third is equal to, kind of do a dividing line here, is equal to 2 whole steps. And the minor third is equal to 1.5 whole steps. If you wanted to think of it as 4 half steps, you could. If you wanted to think of this as 4 halves, you could. But it's a lot harder to think in half steps. That's why scales make a lot of sense, because you're not having to deal with 12 tones and you can narrow it down to 7 pretty quickly. So again, I'm going to rewrite this a little bit better, where this is a little bit easier. So again, the major third, I'm going to write the little 3 so we can see it. Major third is equal to 2 whole steps. And a minor third is equal to, I'll write it out different this way, 1.5 whole steps. Okay, hopefully that makes very, very, very good sense here. Also one thing that is important as you do different music theory things, a lot of times people use, instead of the word chord, they use the word triad. Triad and chord, it basically means, well, 3 notes in a chord are a triad. So one of these basic chord qualities, the major, the minor, the augmented and diminished, those are triads. All the other numbers and things that are added onto chords, those are still chords, but it's not a triad because it's not 3. So the triad is going to be one of those basic major, minor, augmented, or diminished chords that use the 1, the 3, and the 5. Okay, now here's where this gets really cool. Let's see, let me erase this. So the distance between, again, C to E was a major third. Okay, now watch this. The distance between a C to a G is a minor third. Okay, so we have C to E, it's a major third, but then E to G is a minor third. So if we count up a whole step, then a half step. Okay, you guys following that? So this is a major third, this is a minor third. Okay, so a major chord it equals a major third and a minor third put together. So if you can figure out major thirds and minor thirds, immediately you've got this. Like, honestly, as far as chord theory is concerned, if you know that is so good. It's just great. So memorize, you don't even have to memorize. You just have to be able to play and see major thirds and minor thirds really quick. And whatever instrument you're on, guitar, piano, just identify what they are as you're going. So I'm going to do one more example. I'm not even going to write it out, but let's just take a look at the key of, or the D chord. So here's our D chord. D, F sharp, A. This is a major third. Okay. Here's a whole step, another whole step. There's our major third. And then here's our minor third. Here's a whole step. And there's the half step. Does that make sense? Let's go B flat. Okay. We were using that earlier, B flat. Let's go a whole step up. There's our major third. Now let's go up a minor third. So there's our, trying to play it where you can see my fingers, but that's the chord, and that's the triad right there. Does that make sense? Let's go E flat. Okay, a whole step, and then 1.5 steps. Okay, there's our chord right there. Sorry, it's hard for me to. I need to get this where it's easier to see. So that's it right there. Even what's great about it is even the harder keys that are more difficult to figure out the using the major scale formula, because you got too many flats in there or too many sharps in there, you can still use this to determine that. So like the key of E, again, here's our whole step and a whole step. There's the first half of it. There's the major third. Now our minor third, whole step, half step. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. All right, now why does that even matter? What's the big deal with that? Well, the opposite is true for the minor chord. So a minor triad or minor chord is a minor third followed by a major third. It's pretty cool. So basically you just flip them back. So on one, they just flip back and forth. So this is called a major third or major chord because this first interval is a major interval, and there's the minor. And then here, this is a minor chord because this first one is a minor third, and then you follow it by the major. And that's why that whether you're doing with a major or minor chord, they basically have the same. They're always going to have the same fifths, 1 to the 5. So if this is the same, we have to go up a major third for the key of C or the C chord, major third, okay, and then minor third. Okay, so those like fit together like a puzzle. But if I lower this down to a minor third, now automatically the distance, because I lowered it down, it raised this interval. So that's why major minor chords, when you realize that it's just the third that's lowering, it makes a lot of sense. So if you have all of your major chords down pretty easy, and then you're playing and you think, I don't know what the minor is in this, or whatever the case is, flat the third. That's all it is. All right, so let's give a couple more examples of that. Let's see. Well, actually, you know what? We don't even need this. So you guys got it. Major third, minor third. That's going to be the difference. Okay, let's go to the key of G. So here's our G. Here's our 1. These are going to be the same on both of them. So major third. Okay. And then our minor third. This is a major, minor, major, minor, minor, major. Does that make sense? Minor third, major third. That's a minor chord. Major third, minor third, minor chord. Hopefully that's making sense as I'm playing it. Let's do another key. Let's do E flat. So on E flat, we're going to have E flat. If we go up a major third, we go up a minor third. Here's our major. Here's our minor. Okay, these two stay the same. If I want to make it a minor chord, go E flat minor. I'm going to go up, make this a minor third, which then makes this a major third. That's it. It's pretty simple. So it's called stacking, the stacking thirds. And by the way, I guess if you have questions about that, we'll dive into it in another lesson where we'll talk about the augmented and the diminished chord. But those are super easy to figure out as well. I'll probably tack that onto another lesson just so that it's a little bit maybe there's more to the lesson. But yeah, hopefully this is helpful to you. Let's kind of recap on this again, the difference between a major and minor third, and then we will dismiss, and I'll open it up for questions. So if you're watching this live, go ahead and put any questions that you might have into the comments. Let's see, stacking turds. Yes. Sean Zimmerman just said stacking turds. Did I say stacking turds? I thought that I said stacking thirds, but I might have been wrong. I actually didn't get a whole lot of sleep last night, so I'm actually pretty tired. So, by the way, hopefully the audio is better today. Last week, this is actually an attic that I built. This room that I'm in right now was attic space. And so I built this room, and I didn't put AC in it except for an AC unit back there. You can kind of see it right there. It's a portable AC unit. And so it gets pretty hot in here. I'm in Texas. So last week I had it on, and it was just, sometimes I'm able to get this mic where it doesn't pick it up as much in the background, but it was bad last week. So I apologize for that. But let me know if the audio doesn't sound good. Let's see real quick. Random Dave says, as someone learning guitar, the piano does really make this more clear. It does. Guitar is my primary instrument. I play a number of instruments, but guitar was my first. But my dad was a pianist, and so he taught me how to play piano as well. And the way that it's laid out here is a little bit easier than the way that it's laid out on the guitar. But let me just do something real quick. Let me grab it. Let me grab my guitar. However, hopefully we might have to zoom this out a little bit. Oh, as far as it goes, we'll see. Guitar is the same thing though. Just get used to the difference in it. So know your thirds, and you're going to be okay. So for example, like in a bar chord, if you have like G, your third is this note right here. Okay. Sorry if it's out of tune a little bit. So the difference between this right here, and if I pick it up, it's going to be the bar. That's the minor chord. So it's very, very simple. Even certain chords that don't even really work very well. In theory, they work. If you had a C chord, this is your third right here. So if I lower that down, sorry, I can't hit the top one because that's an E. That basically makes it the chord again. If I was playing it as a bar chord, this note right here is the third. If I lower it down a half step, it turns into that. So the same thing, A, I lower this a half step, E, lower this a half step. There's two that you're going to have to figure out. The first one is kind of on your bar chords, but then on any of the chords up here, like open chords or anything you're doing, this interval is a major third. That's a minor third. So as you're figuring it out, that's basically what it is. You just got to figure out what those intervals are on the guitar, and also it's going to be like the same thing here. And then you can also do it this way if you're wanting to walk up. Think of it in terms of steps. If you're just trying to figure out the actual notes, if you know your fretwork well, you might just be able to go like, go up a whole step. So if you're saying, all right, what is in the key of G? What is the major chord? You could go, okay, that is a B. And then if you wanted to keep walking up, you could, or you could come down here, but do a minor third. Okay, there's our D. So the notes are G, B, and D. Or if you wanted to do it a little bit easier, memorize this interval, G, B, D. So that's that's how it would apply on the guitar. But I completely agree with you that I messed up the top camera here. It's not going to be right when I go back. I completely agree with you that on the piano, oh, it didn't mess up that bad. On the piano, it's a little bit easier to lay out like that. So basically that is it, but let's review one more time just so we got it, both sides of it. So a little bit more of the, I would say like the major third, minor third thing, that's kind of like a hack, and the knowing the numbers and what they are and actually in the key, that's more of like the true understanding of how the chord is fitting together. You don't have to even know what the major scale is of a key in order to figure out what a major or minor third is. So, but again, let's dive into it. So if, again, we have our scale, whatever it is, again, our previous lessons, taking a look at, your major chord is going to be the 1, the 3, and the 5. That's major. And then your minor chord is going to be the 1, the flat third, and the 5. And that's going to be minor. And then again, I'll write it in different colors. It's a little bit easier to see. Then you have your intervals. So this interval here is going to be major. This interval here is going to be minor. And then this interval on the minor chord, the first one is going to be minor. And the second one is going to be major, just like that. So there you go. There you have it. That's it. Random Dave says, thank you. I'm still learning my way around the fretboard, but I'm getting there. Yeah. The fretboard's hard. It really is. It's really hard to figure out. Well, actually, I wouldn't say it's hard, but it does take time to do it. It takes time and it takes practice to kind of figure it out. I'll make a lesson at some point on some hacks on how to do that, because there are some easy things to do with that. In fact, as I end this lesson, I can kind of show you some things real quick on the guitar if you wanted to. And there you go. All right, guys, put any questions that you might have, and we will discuss it after I end this, and we'll keep on going for the live stream for anybody that is wanting it. If you wanted during the live stream, I could show you what the major and minor, or the augmented and diminished is real quick. That's pretty easy. And how to figure that out using the stacking thirds. But Kennis Russ a lot, guys. Thanks for watching, and I appreciate you being here each week and watching these videos, and hopefully we will make musicians better musicians together. And that is the goal for everything I'm doing here. So thank you guys so much. I'm going to end if you're watching this live, we can keep going. But if you're not watching it live, we're going to end it here, and I'll see you next week.